Hello everyone, welcome back. It is Monday, and Bitcoin's price is $86,300. From yesterday, we did continue dropping a little more. We hit a new low of 83,782, a local bottom. Not as bad as how we were back on, what was this, the 21st? Yeah, 21st of November, where we dropped to a low of 80,600. We're not that bad, but we're still pretty bad to the point where we are oversold. But we didn't make a lower low, which could be a good sign. Are we out of the woods yet? Not quite yet. We're still technically in a downtrend. This could mean, I don't know. It could mean, of course, one of two things. It either goes up or goes down. But what I mean is that this could just be a part of a bigger movement towards the downside. That could absolutely be the case. I'm not going to rule it out just yet. If you were planning on going long, yeah, looked good. But I don't know if we should, because we are still on a downtrend technically, so I'd caution against that. Until we get confirmation that the trends do indeed flip over to the green, then we should be good. For the time being, 92,000, that level is still in play at this current time. All right. So, let me get a drink. All right. For supports, I mentioned it would be about 82,000 to 80,000 itself. So this whole zone down here would be great area of accumulation from what I understand. Could be. Could be that we drop a little further. Wouldn't surprise me. But I still don't see the reason why we should be dropping. Once again, fundamentals are very, very strong. We should be mooning right now, but we're not. And we must accept that. A lot of people have turned bearish, myself included. Not really, but to the point where we kind of agree that, yeah, in the macro cycle, we are pretty much done over here. We're heading down. All the indicators are not bullish, so things are pointing toward the downside for the time being. And we must accept that, and we must ride the wave as things are. Does that mean go ahead and short? No, that does not mean that. Of course, be responsible. I personally am against shorting Bitcoin. I don't want you to edit this and then put footage of me actually shorting Bitcoin. But if I do see the opportunity to do so, of course with a stop loss, just for like some quick trade, you can easily do that, right? If you do predict Bitcoin's price movement will continue lower, then yeah, that's the only good reason why. But on a macro scale, I mean, you should be accumulating spot if you do truly trust in the project. So that's kind of what I see for it. Let me go down to like a lower time frame for here. Yeah, this was a nasty drop. So when we were streaming last night over here approximately, we were still on our way down, and then yeah, overnight, what was this time? 10 a.m. 10 a.m., a lot of volatility. I've just noticed that. But yeah, it seems like it pushed us down to 83,782. But we managed to bounce from there. Potential entries, as of right now, not quite yet. I think it would be safe to make some kind of entry if we do continue rising a little bit. Could take us to an overbought territory, kind of. And then start heading lower, ideally, right? Not ideally like in the macro scale, but you know, something for like an entry for a position that we've got, right? Put a stop loss about there, take profit about there, and there you go. Easy trade, right? Maybe. We shall see what happens. If that situation does arise, I think I will go ahead and put an order in. But I don't know if I'll be able to because, okay. Life update. Today was a pretty crazy day. I had a lot of phone calls with a lot of job offerings just out of nowhere. Today it seems to be the day like, hey, it's Monday and Matthew's not home, so we're just gonna spam call him until for every application, right? I got interview requests from Costco, from, you know, I'm not gonna mention all these names, but banks and other agencies close by. Matter of fact, I'm getting a temporary position tomorrow. So, yeah, tomorrow will finally be working, but it's not going to be a long one. They say by Friday. I don't know if this week Friday or next week Friday. It's just a temporary position just until I can find something else, which, I mean, for the time being, yeah, my emails are getting pretty flooded with offers. So might have to schedule more interviews soon and see which one works out best so that we can finally get some income because we need it. So yeah, there you go. There's a little life update. Okay. Yeah, really nothing too crazy today. No big news. Just dropped. Reasons why we dropped. Turns out yesterday, it makes sense. Japan 2-year bond yield went up like crazy, which spooked markets. We'll go into much more detail about that when we get into our new section. Other stuff that's going on. Nothing too much. Solana partnership with Kalshi. We already know about Monad mainnet launch, which seems to be kind of just not moving anymore. People are a bit too... There's no demand for another L1 is what I see for Monad. And then whatever Trump is doing, nothing too crazy either. So we'll go over just tiny bits of stuff that's happened today. I'm just going to warn you, it's nothing too crazy. What did I do today? I closed out my compound position right over here. Sold the top. Look how perfect I am. No, not really. I was basically... I showed you guys yesterday. I had like a positive funding fee because this is still in the negative. They're paying you good amounts if you go long. I'm not saying that you should. I mean, you could. The trend is technically up, and for whatever reason, against all odds, compound has been on the rise. I saw my entry was basically neutral, so I closed out of it, break even, basically, and got the money back. I don't want to invest in this. I'd rather put it in Bitcoin, as much as Bitcoin has betrayed me. I still trust into it. As for every other positions, those are still alive. Aptos, it says it's in the green. It's not really in the green, dude. We're at like all-time lows. Aptos is crazy. Digital asset names, new CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Aptos, really? Well, I don't know who it is, though. Who's the new CFO? If that news even is real. I'm going to have to check it later. 87,000 after ETF inflows hit record high. ETF inflows record high? I doubt that. Dude, I should stop trusting this AI. It's so wrong. This is not a record inflow for Bitcoin. 71 million is pathetic. And on top of that, you got a $113 million outflow from BlackRock. Unless we're talking about today, which it's not that different from yesterday, and I doubt BlackRock did anything good for the markets. Who knows, dude? Who knows? But that's wrong. ETF inflows, record high. That's just wrong. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at Ethereum, down 2.29%, 2,800 is the current price. We've already flipped our trend back to the downside, so this is gone. Please get out. And the downtrend now invalidates at 3,042. We got a long way to go. Seems like we are, you know, keeping this uptrend intact for the time being. But like I said, I don't know if we should fully trust this one. It's been like... It has a long history, right? We're talking about, I think it's 2021. No, 2025, April 7th. Okay, actually, it's not too bad. At least not for this one. I should unlock this. Just to kind of get this precise. There we go. So it seems like this level that we were approaching at around 2,700. Lowest point was $2,718.17. Bounced up from there. We're basically at a support level right now. 2,800 psychological level. For Bitcoin, the reason we stopped down over here right now, and you'll notice that I don't have anything that kind of could have predicted this slowdown in the drop. From what I've heard, it is a 100 exponential weekly moving average that detained the price from dropping further right here. I could be wrong. Let's double check it. Let's go ahead and put EMA, I think it's exponential. Spread it to 100 periods. Please let me click on this. 100. Excellent. Yeah, it kind of is. Well, kind of. I don't know. It seems like that level stops at 85,556. We're kind of respecting it at this current time, as long as the weekly candle doesn't close below this. But I think at this point, this is copium, for the bull market is not over. I think it's, like, I would have called it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. Yeah, it's pretty much over since the beginning of November. Has not been looking good. And I didn't get out on time. But now I'm no longer in it for the time being. Sitting things out, waiting for things to do their thing. It's either I FOMO in at 100k or I buy at 70k. We'll see which one comes first. There is a prediction market on this stuff. What will Bitcoin hit first? We'll look into that, of course, later on. Moving on to Solana, down 0.25%. Negative funding rate, $127.80. I'm still alive here. We bounced perfectly off these long-term uptrends, which I like to see. Okay, that means our lowest point today was $123, 6 or 7 cents. What else we got? Hyperliquid on its way down as well still. Super trend reduced to $35.22. Current price is $30.82. And we bounced off the support over here. That's 2 times we've touched it. I don't know if we're gonna break through lower. If it does, it'll take us to $26.70, which I'm not sure we're gonna want to see, but there it is. Yeah, resistance, of course, the 35 we have to break out of to flip this trend over back into the green. Still hope for hyperliquid despite the macro conditions of the market, because it's a decentralized exchange. If people are just trading crypto, regardless if things go up or down, Hyperliquid will make revenue. They will do their buybacks. I think it will be good overall. So, I'm doing fine with it. How has Aster been doing? 97 cents. Okay, we've been dropping here. What did we hit a high of? 140, and this happened on November 18. I don't know if it's been that long since I've last looked at it, but I remember it being in a, uptrend, kind of, the green super trend. Seems like that has now flipped over to the red, so currently heading lower at the time. 115 is required to be broken so that we can flip back over into a green uptrend, right? That might be a while, who knows. Oh, we actually dropped to a low of 88 again. That's crazy. So, okay, moving on. SUI, also negative funding rate. Super trend is still red. It validates at 153. This was a false flip over, because we barely even closed above this. I wouldn't even validate this myself, but yeah, it happened technically, but there's not enough strength to allow SUI to continue higher. That being said, we did become oversold, and would have been a great opportunity for entry. Lowest point was 130. Yeah, 130. Yeah, luckily we didn't go lower than that. 121 is the next level, and then I got liquidated at 111 or something. Yeah, 111, 112. It's rising because funding fees are killing me, but this negative rate should kind of help, but it's not even that much. I don't think it's going to do anything, but we'll see. Chainlink still on its way down 2%, $12.08. Hit a low of 1173.74. Downtrend invalidates at 1340 approximately. Still got a long way to go. This is all just boring markets at this time. Everything is just dropping. When will it bounce? I could kind of give you an estimation. Yeah, like 1160 could see a good bounce for Chainlink, but I mean, we kind of approached that level, and do we even call this a bounce at this point? It's just looking like it's going to continue lower and lower. I want to get surprised. I want to get a good old green candle that'll make us rich. But we need money. We need the liquidity. And right now, despite like all the good news that we're seeing, nobody wants to buy. And that's the depressing part of it all. But if we tough it out, I think eventually things will come back. Don't know how long it's going to be, but I know it's going to be maybe a couple of weeks to a couple of months of boring choppiness, sideways, downward movement. It's going to suck. That's why I'm going to distract myself with employment. I know, right? How crazy. Don't worry, that doesn't mean that the streams will be ending. I will continue to do my streams at night. Seems like my schedule, at least for now, it was like, what, 7:30 a.m. is when it starts, and in the afternoon, so yeah, I should be good to stream in the nights. Nothing will change. And I guess I'll let you guys know how the first day went when that happens tomorrow. But yeah, other positions, man, for work. I have to decide between a lot now, and I don't know which one to choose. And now I'm getting some scheduling conflicts with, like, oh, I could do an interview at that time because, like, they're telling me only these times I can do an interview for you, or come on this day for orientation. Like, dude, I'm going to be working at this temporary job. Should I have even accepted it? Okay, I'm not even going to get into too much in detail about it, but yeah, that's kind of the dilemma that I'm in. And Aptos, we kind of already looked at here. Positive funding rate. Hey, still not enough momentum to push things higher. We're still oversold despite this. I mean, yeah, we're not even recovering at all here. Take us down to 181. No, 169. 170. This just keeps on dropping, dude. It's non-stop. Feels really bad for Aptos right now. Anything else notably dropping or rising? Allow me to take a look. If this would load. Nothing good popping off right now. Zcash oversold. Pepe. You know what's something funny is the green dots that MicroStrategy was posting yesterday, which we will be talking about today. Not the green dots specifically, but what it actually is. People thought it's Pepe. He's going to start buying Pepe coin. That would be funny. Because Pepe, green frog, get it. Anyways, no, it's actually a US dollar cash reserve that he's been setting up, which we'll get into more detail about. I guess really soon, because, yeah, that's all I really have for technical analysis. But hey, Pepe oversold, Near, Aptos we just looked at. Polkadot is still oversold. Dash, Optimism, Polygon. Seems like they did not have any bounce since yesterday. They're just down, not rising. Algorand, rest of these are trash. Sonic, still here. Aerodrome. Apecoin, why is this still a thing? Floki. Really, we made a dog meme coin out of Elon Musk's dog. I mean, it was pretty funny in 2021. Like, I had a giggle, but then that's it. I don't know why we're putting monetary value on it. Why do you put monetary value on any of these? This is just magic internet money at the end of the day. Whose value is based on thin air, as Trump once said. You know, that's what he actually said, right? I should look this up. Trump, old Bitcoin tweet about thin air, something like that. Here it is. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. There you go. There you go. This is our Bitcoin president, everyone. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. What illegal activity have you been doing with the cryptos? Really no new comments since 2019? I thought this would have popped off after he got elected. Surely I just gotta reorganize the replies, right? Have I? Latest. 20 hours ago. Oh my gosh, I made a meme coin called Thin Air. Let it die. Then he praises crypto, then he hates it. Okay, Thin Air. This aged like fresh meat. Yeah, it's practically true. We've been seeing this from Trump. How things change, right? Yeah, it's not too bad though. Zcash, I want to look at that because it seems like it's suffering. Oh my gosh, 13%. Who hurt you? Okay. Well, that's the end of Zcash as we once knew it. 339. Is there any recovery for this? What do we do about it? No, you don't buy here. No, you'll let it drop. Don't catch a falling knife, okay? Man, what do we do with this? Zcash, man. if we are able to like bounce from the 314, not drop lower, and then break above 371, then you've got a decent entry. Not financial advice, but maybe something like this, breaking out of the downtrend line and expecting something absurd like $500 for Zcash, 555, I don't know. Or if you want to risk it even harder. This is for like really long-term trading though. But it has a high probability of playing out correctly. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave it here just to prove you guys wrong. Watch this to like continue dropping and I'm the one that gets proven wrong. We'll leave it there though. I don't plan on entering Zcash. We'll let it die. Moving on. Okay, let's get to the news because, well, we don't have too much to talk about, but there's still some stuff. Don't be too discouraged. Trump orders Venezuelan President Maduro to flee the country now. You can save yourself and those closest to you, but you must leave the country now. Is a battle going to happen? If it does, so be it. We've gone into so many battles already. We've intervened in a lot of them. But yeah, I don't know. Do we really want this one? I kind of feel like I don't want the United States to get involved in another conflict, but I understand why it's necessary, but I don't know. I don't know if I fully agree with it. Leave the man alone. But then you got the argument of, yeah, but this man, Maduro, he's teaming up with Russia, with China. They're getting influenced by those people in our continent, and we cannot allow that. Yeah, but you could argue so is, what is it, Cuba? And then Colombia, maybe? And then, I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of deals between my own country, Ecuador, and China, stuff like that. So, who knows? But when it comes to, like, drug cartels, sure, do your thing. I'm sure we can all agree with that. I'm sure that's going to put a bounty on my head, but whatever, it's the truth. White House has confirmed Trump accounts that are aimed to give next-generation Americans a jumpstart on savings, with full details expected tomorrow. I forgot I won't be streaming tomorrow, so whatever happens tomorrow with the Trump accounts, we'll be covering it. He's just going to sign the executive order that'll make it go into law, basically, where if you don't know what it is, every child born in the United States will get $1,000 from the government invested into the S&P 500. Why not Bitcoin? Do Bitcoin. But anyways, the S&P 500 nonetheless, so that when the child turns 18, he'll probably have $5,000 by then, based on maths. People did like historical return calculations, right? The real question is whether these accounts lock funds until 18 or 21. If they are illiquid for decades, inflation eats the benefit. No, they get invested. It gets invested. Yeah, the account includes stocks. Or could crypto be part of the plan? I really hope it's crypto. We need like that push from the president, right? We need that optimism from remember when the 401k thing was announced, where you are now allowed to invest your 401ks with you can invest into cryptocurrencies now with your 401ks. That's basically what the news was, and people were like, how much money is in 401k retirement plans? $12 trillion? That could fivefold the price of Bitcoin. I don't know if I'm doing my math right. It's probably super wrong. What's the current market cap of Bitcoin? 2 trillion? 1.7 trillion? Dude, we're so oversold. This is not even funny. Anyways, 1.7. No, I'm doing this wrong. 12 trillion divided by 1.7. You could 7x the price of Bitcoin with that kind of money. Not saying that it will happen, because you're going to have to convince every boomer in the United States to convert all of their assets, all of their years of investments into, what did I call it? The speculative money thing. Let me pull up the tweet again. I love this Trump tweet so much. Not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. You're going to put your whole retirement funds on something that's based on thin air. I know, I'm just taking a dig at Trump. It's so funny though. But yeah, people were looking at it, even if we get like a small portion of it, even if like another $2 trillion comes from those markets, from the 12 trillion that there is, that could duplicate the price of Bitcoin easily. More than that at this point. We said the same thing with gold. Gold was rising, and it still is, by the way, right now. I want to check what that amount is. Again, 29 trillion. This was 27 trillion a couple days ago, last week. Can I check like the... It's not going to give me a chart. Okay, be like that. But anyways, yeah, it was like a 27 trillion. We just added $2 trillion to the market cap of gold. The money is there. It's just not going into Bitcoin. Silver is at 3 trillion for crying out loud. All-time highs still for silver. We're still doing it. $58. This 2 trillion that went into gold could have gone into Bitcoin, duplicated its price like that instantly, unless I'm missing something. If I am, just let me know, because that's the way I'm seeing stuff. That's how math works, right? You duplicate the market cap, you duplicated the price. Congratulations. But why aren't people doing it? Nobody is buying into Bitcoin anymore. Seems like it's all kind of fading away, but I wouldn't entirely lose hope. I'm still bullish. I'm just riding the wave, however low we have to go, and then till things turn around, which could be by 2026 we're talking. So it's going to take some time. Prepare. A lot of people are not expecting to see Bitcoin back above 100,000, at least not for until the end of this year. Maybe that's a bit too early to say. We have just started this month of December, so who knows? But according to like historical data, which we'll get to, Bitcoin has not done, how do I say it? November red, December green. That has never happened. It's always been November red equals December red as well. So we'll see. The cycle is clearly different. Anything can happen. It's out of our control. We've got these big institutions in this market with us now. So one could argue we are being manipulated, controlled. They're the ones in charge. You're just a pawn in their 5D chess match. We'll see what happens, dude. Tim Walz, whom received a heavy roasting from Trump the other day. He's under some fire over here. A damning quote on Tim Walz's failure to stop the fraud consuming Minnesota. No one was doing anything about red flags, he said. It was like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar and they kept refilling it. Wow. We're talking, of course, about Minnesota, how Tim Walz, the governor there, who was supposed to be the vice president if Kamala Harris won, there's some fraud going on in terms of the Somalian immigrants, things like that, which have now become a big issue, especially now that Trump has pointed it out. This was posted by the Minnesota Staff Fraud Reporting Commentary, Minnesota DHS, basically. They posted this huge self-report on Tim Walz, basically. Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping fraud, but no, we got the opposite response. He systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. Instead of partnership, we got the full weight of retaliation by Tim Walz, certain DFL members, and in different mainstream media. It's scary, isolating, and left us wondering who we can turn to. I'm not reading all this, but it's all there if you care. So, yeah, they're basically just pointing out Tim Walz, he's dishonest, he lacks ethics and integrity, he has poor leadership abilities, and people are like, dude, it's his own government turning against him at this point. Which is, you know, pretty bold. This got the account banned on Twitter, by the way, the Minnesota DHS. But it seems like they're back now, because I just read you the original tweet. It's right there. It's pretty interesting. Last night, their post got millions of views, blowing the whistle on Tim's pro-fraud activities as governor. The group is run by current Minnesota Department of Human Services employees, critical of Walz. That is crazy. Hey, they're doing the right thing, I guess, if they're pointing it out for the rest of us to see. Why did Bitcoin crash yesterday? Because this thing went up yesterday, which I should have looked at. I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to Japan, and I feel like whatever they do is useless. But no, it does genuinely play a huge role when it comes to stuff like foreign exchange, carry trading especially. We'll get into it in more detail here. Japan's 10-year government bond yield surged to 1.84%, its highest level since April 2008, which concerns a lot of people. Bitcoin's price dropped sharply overnight, and the timing was remarkable. The Japanese 2-year bond yield, the 2-year yield, why you gotta name it like that, broke above 1%, which increases the likelihood that the Bank of Japan will finally begin tightening after years of ultra-loose policy, which is bad news for carry trades. If you don't know what carry trading is, it's basically if you have American dollars and you want to buy the Japanese yen, the currency over there, you can do that, and the Bank of Japan, either they actually pay you for holding on to their money. It was something like that for a period of time until they started increasing their interest rates, which means that it devalues kind of less. And then at the end of the year, or however long your term is, you switch the money back to US dollar. If you, of course, were expecting that you would get a greater interest rate with the Japanese yen versus the US dollar. I'm probably explaining it so wrong, but it's something like that. You basically hold the other currency and expect something greater in return instead of holding your own, US dollar that gets 2% inflated away every year. People will do that with like riskier currencies like Mexican pesos maybe. I think they give you like a 10% yield, but it's more risky as well because their country's monetary policy is not that great. It's not as solid as the American one, so to speak. So, higher risk, higher reward, but the risk is there. You could actually just end up losing the money, or they could inflate all their supply away to infinity like Argentina or Venezuela did. Just saying. Anyways, back to this. As funding costs rise, global risk needs to be repriced, which means that high beta assets like Bitcoin are typically the first to react. The move happened at the worst possible moment on a Sunday night around midnight, the most illiquid window of the week. Order books were thin, market makers run low volume, and there's no US ETF flows. A single macro trigger pushed Bitcoin straight through support levels, stop losses were hit, leverage positions forced to unwind, and liquidations cascaded through the order book. That's what we saw. I think it was about 1 billion overall that got liquidated. Looks like a pure repricing of risk. Meanwhile, gold and silver futures, well, those are going higher. Here's more information on it. I covered this post where Bitcoin crashed, but here's an explanation as to what actually happened. Selling off because macro and positioning lined up badly at the same time. We talked about the Japanese 2-year bond yields popping above 1% for the first time since 2008. That's the market's way of saying that the Bank of Japan might actually tighten after years of ultra-cheap money. When that backdrop shifts, global risk gets repriced, volatility picks up. The fastest thing that big money can hit is liquid high beta stuff like Bitcoin. It's really about leverage getting flushed, though. That's what we did see. The huge downward candle that you see on Bitcoin, this just screams liquidation. You don't just see a drop of like 4.42% without any news, right? I guess that was the big news, but all of this is due to liquidations. The bigger point is that Bitcoin is behaving like a macro asset that's very sensitive to interest rate expectations and global liquidity, not as some isolated digital gold immune from the rest of the system, which sparks that controversy, right? Bitcoin is supposed to be the digital gold, but it's not behaving like it, and the reason is because we've imported too much of the Wall Street. We have become the Wall Street. We've basically become like a 24/7 NASDAQ, so to speak. As long as the story is that yields can rise and safe assets pay more, then Bitcoin faces a headwind and trades as higher beta risk. That's not good. It's not what we want to be known for. I think I skipped a post. No, I did not. That's all I have for the Japanese yen. Part of the reasons why it dropped Bitcoin's price. Okay. Some bullish news, some hopium. Bitcoin supply on exchanges. It's still falling to a new low. Does this look like a new low? Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Well, kind of. It's there, okay. I was looking at the price as well. Like, this is not a low in the price. I mean, in the... You get it? Okay, fine, cool, good. This means that Bitcoin is leaving exchanges. People are holding on to their Bitcoin. They're not adding it to the exchanges. They're not selling it to the exchanges, where the exchanges would have more supply. The issue is that the demand is not there to keep up with it, and that is why we're seeing the price of Bitcoin go lower. It's only a matter of time before that starts kicking back in. This is the monthly thing that I was talking to you guys about. Bitcoin's about to close one of its worst Novembers. Historically, every red November equals red December. Historically proven so far. Will history repeat itself? Maybe. Maybe. We shall see. That's why I'm not going to be too optimistic about it. I guess I should have covered... You know what? We'll get into it later. MicroStrategy. The whole post yesterday with the green dots. What does the green dots mean? Is he buying Pepe? No, he's not. Is he selling Bitcoin for cash? Cash is green. No, he's not doing that either. It's similar to that. He disclosed, first of all, that he bought more Bitcoins. $11 million Bitcoin purchase, 130 Bitcoins, which brought his holdings from 649,000 something to 650,000 Bitcoins flat. He has now... Michael Saylor now has 650,000 Bitcoins. Exactly that amount. That's why it seems like you look at this and it's like only $11 million? Dude, that's nothing money. And it's true. It's not a lot of money. But he did it to like, I guess he has OCD. He needs to see the zeros on the amount of Bitcoins that he has. So there you go. That's his final purchase. Weakest purchase at such a good price to buy right now. I guess he saves his big purchases for when Bitcoin's at all-time highs. Hey, you know what? Your money, your choice. So, what does this leave us with? His average cost, 74,436 per Bitcoin. He has spent $48 billion. And now has a total of 650,000 Bitcoins, which, by the way, that's more Bitcoin than the US and China combined. Keep in mind, USA holds now, I think, about 300,000 Bitcoins. China is estimated to have 200,000 Bitcoins. That's about 500,000. The guy over here has 650,000. So that's impressive. Good for him. Now, what was the big news? It's this. Strategy has established a US dollar reserve of $1.44 billion dedicated for dividend payments. Because he has all these other companies, Strike, Strife, Stride, Stretch, something. A lot of companies like that, apart from Strategy, he has to pay dividends to the people that invest in it. Right now, it's usually $750 million in annual dividends that needs to be paid out. What he did was he allocated $1.44 billion that will be dedicated for dividend payments, which means that he should have enough funds to cover 23 months worth of dividend payments. Let's stop worrying about MicroStrategy becoming a liquid. It seems like they're fine. I think they're... Okay, I have more information about it, but we'll get into it. Yeah, 23 months, dude, you're fine. It's guaranteed 23 months that he will be able to cover for dividends. So you can't go out and blame MicroStrategy is going to collapse. They're going to become insolvent. Their money magic, infinite money glitch system is no longer going to work. It'll be fine for now. We just need Bitcoin to go up. And I think I can bet you my bottom dollar that in 23 months, yes, Bitcoin will be quite up. Okay. So I think he's safe. Here's another thing that came with this. MicroStrategy has become a bizarre arbitrage situation where the company's stock price has completely detached from the value of its actual Bitcoin holdings. And that's one thing that people pointed out. I don't know if I have the specific post here. I don't know if they mention it here. Yeah, they do. Okay. The core issue is simple. Michael Saylor's company is trading at $45 billion in market cap. Okay. MSTR. Here we go. This is the market cap, 50 billion, let's just say. I think that's outdated. 45 billion, sure. They have 650,000 Bitcoins, which is worth $55 billion. The company MicroStrategy, 45 billion. The Bitcoins that they have, 55 billion. That's a $10 billion difference. The math isn't mathing, isn't it? If they have this amount of Bitcoin and it's in their reserves, that should be the market cap at least, right? But they're going negative. It basically says that their software products, operations, and management are not really worth anything. If anything, they're worth negative $10 billion. Even before you factor in the debt. Oh, let's not even get into the debt, right? We can check how much they have total debt. They owe 8 billion. Apart from the 10 billion difference between the market cap and the Bitcoin holdings. It's not looking good for strategy in terms of that. And that is what a lot of people are fearing for MicroStrategy. And I'd say it's fairly reflected on the price. I was about to look up MicroStrategy on CoinMarketCap. That's how you know my brain is on my head. MSTR. Yeah, these are newer lows. We kind of bounced a little bit, but it's pretty pathetic. 173 is where the current price is. We hit a low of 155. Today happened. Okay. This sounds insane because it is insane. This stock has gotten absolutely hammered, down over 57% since October 6th. That's when Bitcoin was at an all-time high. The market is pushing Bitcoin exposure through a traditional equity vehicle rather than pricing in the real assets on the balance sheet. The even wilder part is that even after subtracting their $8.2 billion debt load, which that's what we confirmed over here, the $8.2 billion debt, MicroStrategy's net Bitcoin holdings are worth $46.8 billion, which is still $1.8 billion more than their entire market cap. You're literally buying a company and paying negative money for everything else they do. That is practically what it has become right now. What they're doing with software or whatever it is that they do, it's not worth anything. The only thing that's worth it is Bitcoin, and even with the Bitcoin, seems like they're not keeping their head above the water. I don't know if I'm making sense with it, but I kind of understand it. Most of the $8.2 billion debt was taken on specifically to buy Bitcoin at higher prices. Sailor has been on a tier buying Bitcoin. So it's actually an interest bearing short on USD rather than the traditional corporate debt. This creates a strange dynamic where rising Bitcoin prices help them delever, while the stock gets treated like a leveraged Bitcoin play that traders are actively running away from. The way I understand this, 86666 by the way, it's basically like he has, I don't want to say cross margin, but like he's just adding more margin. Like he's taking out debt, let's just say, to buy Bitcoin right now. And then as Bitcoin price rises, I don't know, whatever revenue he generates from there, he uses that to like repay or cover up for the rest of the margin that is currently his to cover for up the rest of the position amount. Dude, I don't know if this is making any sense, but yeah, I understand it, okay? It makes sense to me. I just don't know if I'm explaining it properly. He basically has to cover for more margin. Kind of. The real question is whether this discount persists or closes. If you believe Bitcoin goes higher, then MicroStrategy becomes absurdly cheap. You're getting the Bitcoin at a discount plus optionality on the software business. That's true. Yeah, that is true. You're basically buying for Bitcoin. You're basically buying Bitcoin through MicroStrategy. Whatever the total amount is, $10 billion cheaper than that. Forget the debt, because that'll cover itself, right? And the possibility that MicroStrategy itself as a software company actually starts doing good, which, I don't know, right now it seems like they're in a rough spot, but we shall see what happens. But if Bitcoin consolidates or corrects, the leverage works against you and hard, and the negative business valuation becomes a real drag. Yeah, that's what was reported over here. Their market cap is worth $10 billion less than their Bitcoin holdings. They still hold 46.8 billion worth of Bitcoin on a net basis. Yeah, we kind of know. Can Sailor keep buying? That's what a lot of people are saying, is like, he doesn't have enough juice left to continue buying. But at least he's going to guarantee the dividend payments, so you shouldn't, how do I say it? You shouldn't give up on it, on the whole thing. Let's see. Strategy outlines how it will fund its new US dollar reserve. If shares trade above 1 times the net asset value, they issue common equity. If it trades below less than the 1x net asset value, which is what's currently happening right now, they will sell Bitcoin or Bitcoin-linked derivatives. That's not what we want to see. I don't know if they're actually going to sell. From what I would understand is they would take loans against it. Maybe. It's roughly tied to the blended cost basis of their Bitcoin stack. That number sits around $10,000 to $12,000 per Bitcoin. Brother. Okay. Well, that's a little too much for me, but there you go. Yeah, people would have seen this and thought, hey, this is pathetic. But no. They did it to hold the 650,000 Bitcoins and kind of do the bank thing that people were speculating yesterday. So congrats if you guessed it. The reserve part, at least. Bitmine has also been buying Ethereum from Tom Lee's company, right? They bought 96,798 Ethereum last week, about $272 million, which brings its total holdings now to about $10 billion worth of Ethereum. 3,700 ETH. 3,700,000 ETH, rather. It's not too bad. Solana announced a partnership today. Well, they posted this first, which is like, being a blockchain is wild, because 99% of the time I look like this, and 1% of the time I look like my pinned tweet. And I mean, you can kind of guess what this is if you understand the color scheming. Kalshi mode. Solana. They partnered with Kalshi markets. Tokenized prediction markets powered by Kalshi are live on Solana. $2 million plus and builder grants are open. Axiom Exchange is next. Never heard of this. And more chains coming soon. Okay, cool. Anyone can permissionlessly monetize applications on top of our global liquidity pool via DFlow or Jupiter, trading terminals, weather sites, AI agents. Anything you want to build can now earn fees and rewards proportional to volume. Cool, I guess. So there's that. Now this is what people are speculating. 2 chances of things happening with Bitcoin. Switching between the tabs here. 50% chance on Kalshi markets that Bitcoin drops below $80,000. But then there's a 40% chance that Bitcoin rises above $100,000 again this year. I wouldn't say the odds are necessarily in our favor, but you were like, yeah, there is still a chance. There's hope, right? Could happen. We gotta wait and see what happens. What do I expect? You guys are going to hate me for this, but yeah, I think we're dropping below 80,000. 70,000 something, I don't know. Dude, how low can we go, truly? I know this is like a really, really good support. Like, there's so much volume there ready to buy at 80,000. So it's going to be really tough if we do approach that level. That's why I'm giving you like this huge zone over here where we could see like, you know, things potentially bounce from. Super trend should like drop to maybe around over here before we test it again. And then, I mean, if we do get this flipped over into a positive uptrend, who knows? Should be simple to break this one, hopefully, this downtrend. And then 100K. But by the end of the year, we're being timed over here, okay? We've only got 30 days left. 1 month. We'll see what happens. Vanguard, $11 trillion asset manager we know. They're allowing their clients to access cryptocurrency ETFs and funds starting tomorrow. I thought they already did. But anyways, yeah, sure. More access to crypto ETFs and funds should help with the volume. Let's see. Bank of America has named Nvidia, Palantir, and Robinhood as their top buy and hold stocks for 2025. Why 2025? Are we talking about the past? Yeah, these did perform well. What about the future? We want to know the future. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. It ends in less than 20 trading days. Brother. Okay, well, congrats, I guess. What can we do with that? But yeah. I've not looked at my stock portfolio at all this week. Not that I could do anything for it, so I just kind of left it there. Yeah, I'll keep this bookmarked because it's pretty funny. Please get out. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So that'll be all for tonight. That's all the news I had to cover. Not a crazy day at all today. Pretty relaxed, pretty just calm, I guess. Oh, Jerome Powell, didn't he speak? How could I forget? What did Jerome talk about today? Jerome Powell. Did he say anything? He was supposed to speak at like some university at 8 p.m. It's like almost 10 right now. Is this it? Everything you said is wrong. I don't even know if I want to waste my time with this, dude. Come on. Don't show me weird stuff, please, Twitter. Odds of President Trump's... Okay, we know that. We know Kevin Hassett will replace Jerome. Yeah, what did he say? What did he say here? Quantitative easing may be getting announced. I guess, but come on. There's literally no posts about it. We have not heard anything about this. Several Federal Reserve officials favored lowering the target range. Yeah, we kind of knew that. Flashbang warning, but like, oh, wrong flashbang. This one. We kind of already expected that from the odds that we see here. It's still like high 80s. 86% that we do see a rate cut for December. We're getting the PCE data before, though, so that should be pretty important. Fed's preferred inflation measure. That's the only thing like standing in the way. That's happening this Friday. Before we confirm if anything is happening here. The reason I also have Japan listed as these countries is because I wanted to see if like the bond yield or whatever thing was showing here. Obviously not. I don't know what I was thinking, okay? Yeah, but I'm seeing no news on Jerome Powell. I know that he spoke, but what did he do? What did he say? Was it open meeting or not? 1 hour ago, Jerome Powell just dropped a huge warning on XRP, Bitcoin, and crypto. Dude, how real is this? This is not real. All right, pal. Yeah, this is just a meme. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. So, okay, there you go. Nothing burger. He's not pumping or dumping the markets, so I guess we should be thankful for it either way. That's all we can really expect from Jerome. Okay. Yeah, so then that's all for tonight then. I will catch you guys on Wednesday. Tomorrow will not be streaming. I'll let you guys know how my job thing goes. It's gonna be a hectic week, dude. I have to like now decide, okay, should I do the interview, accept interview with this company, or I'm just gonna have to maybe skip a day of the temporary work because I mean it's temporary. Come on. I don't know what to do. We'll see though. God's plan. Alright guys, I'll see you Wednesday. Have a great rest of your